So ciao Emanuele.
Ciao Marco.
Ciao. So we are in our actually kind of episode to meet the customer. So today we have you from Italy, and I would like that we show to our audience who is Emanuele and how you actually ended up in aviation safety and compliance.
Oh, now unfortunately for me, I'm a bit old, so it's a long story. But Emanuele is me. I'm Italian. I'm living in the Alps, in the Alpine region, so in the north. And I started in aviation, I would say, when I was a kid. I was so high, 3, 4, 5 years old, more or less on the other side of the Adriatic, because I used to go to Rimini on vacation, and it was full of small airplanes flying over the beach, dropping down toys for the kids. And I remember I have this image in my head of myself running to catch something that was dropped by the airplanes on purpose for the kids. And I remember I have another image. It's one night, one day, my father took me at the Rimini airport, and it was on the terrace, on the visitor terrace. It was a dark night, and I remember those airplanes, white and red, with big design. I remember them like a Walt Disney cartoon. I have this image, and from there I've always been on aviation. So actually I started working when I was 18, between the last 2 years of the high school in aviation. I've been called by a helicopter company who's been established close to home, so they took me on a helicopter maintenance training, and then I've completed the school, and I started doing something with them, then to the Italian Air Force, and finally in '87 I started to work full time as a mechanic.
As a mechanic?
Yeah. So my background is I'm an helicopter engineer. Not working as an engineer anymore since many years, but this is my background.
So it all started from childhood then?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm monomaniac.
Monomaniac. Okay.
Monomaniac.
So so then you, with 18, you started to work.
Yeah.
Where did you work first? And
I worked just on the other side of the river in my valley for this small company. Then I left them because I had to go to the military service, the mandatory military service in Italy. And during my service in the Air Force, I was working in office, so nothing related to airplanes and helicopters. I found a flight school in Bergamo who has employed me when I finished my period in the Air Force. So I started with them 40 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and how actually then you moved from this engineering background towards aviation safety?
Yeah, well, you know, aviation is a strange environment. Companies are going up, closing, so changing everything. I worked for a few years for a person who had helicopters and a motor yacht. I was a mechanic shifting on board of the motor yacht, mechanic for the helicopter. So I had the possibility to travel 50% of the world. Then I decided that I wanted to do something different, and I moved to what is called today camo management. So since 1998 I started working at the office doing airworthiness and maintenance planning. So I would say that since 1998-99 I'm not working as a mechanic anymore. Regulation changes, new professional figures appears in the market, and I moved to quality system and naturally to safety management system. It's a natural evolution. The majority of the safety managers are coming from the quality management system, especially for maintenance and airworthiness, because they have been the environments most regulated and most towards this kind of problems, in my opinion.
Yeah.
in my experience.
So it's now more than 25, 26 years.
Yeah,
Even
more,
more?
yeah, it's more or less 20 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's count from 98.
Okay, yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
quite significant time
Yeah.
of your life that you actually work in aviation safety and compliance.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you miss the mechanical side?
Yes, but it was. I think that my choice was perfect. So I think that I'm spending less energy, gaining a higher result on what I'm doing now on what I was doing when I was a mechanic. So I think that probably I've chosen the wrong path initially, but initially everybody wants to be a pilot, everybody wants to see helicopters and airplanes and so on. So you try to be more involved and more specific, more technical. Now I will not do the same path. I will probably choose something different and going directly on this kind of area. But I think that the experience stays in your pocket.
Exactly.
So
I think your vast experience as mechanical engineer probably helped you and shaped your way of thinking.
yeah, I also had a flight license, so I flew for 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is helping. It's helping.
Yeah.
It's helping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can see young guys which are educated engineer with no experience in the field, but they are very skilled, very smart. So this is something that I'm missing because of the age, because of the skills, because of the careers, of the education and so on. But they are missing the experience. I am very glad that they are very smart and they have to proceed with their career, and I hope for them a lot of success, but they are missing the experience.
Yeah, but what is the comparison between the generation then in your age and now?
Well, I think that in my generation we have been used to be committed, no matter what. And now the new generation wants to be more satisfied. And they want to have more time available, more possibility for themselves. It's something that I can feel it with one of my sons. So he wants to enjoy his life. At his age, I was working. So even as the regulation is built now, they don't have the apprenticeship. So they can have a license straight ahead from the university or something like that. 20, 30 years ago it was not the same. So you had to start cleaning the hangar.
Yeah, so you
Now
build it
it's not
from
anymore.
bottom to up.
Yeah, from bottom to up.
Yeah.
Now they reach the starting point by education at the university. Its point of view, it's valid. I think it's valid. It's different from what happened to me.
Yeah, but they're gonna miss that crucial experience.
They miss that crucial experience.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
We will feel if it's beneficial or not in few years, I think. Because when people like me will be retired, the gap has to be filled.
But people like you can help them with your vast experience. You can actually kind of direct them.
Yeah, problem is that there are not many young guys who are willing to take an employment in aviation. So, and especially if you tell them, you come to the office and we do camo, safety, quality, I think it's not attractive. Most of them wants to be a pilot. Most of them are taking the career of engineer. But if you tell them office, no, office no. So it's difficult to find pilots, well, more or less. It's difficult to find engineers. It's impossible to me to find somebody who's working at the office, so starting from the beginning the career as an auditor, as a perspective quality manager or safety manager.
Okay, if we now move fast forward to today, you're now working in two companies.
Yeah.
At least that we are working with you in those two companies, so MyCopter and Aviation Services. Can you maybe explain us more about those two companies and your role inside of those?
So MyCopter is an Italian company. We have an AOC and we have a Part 145 approval. We fly twin-engine helicopters, especially on top-end destination, touristic destination in Italy and in the Mediterranean, especially in summertime. Superyacht Aviation Services is a company which is based in San Marino, is the Republic of San Marino, which is close to Rimini. It's a mountain with a castle, and it's independent within the territory of Italy. The company was established to manage a fleet of helicopters doing commercial air transport from motor yachts. We chose San Marino because of the possibility to have a line station based on a vessel rather than based on a shore. We approached the regulators, the European regulators, and that was not seen like. And San Marino regulation allows you to do maintenance at FAA, repair station, EASA, repair station, Canadian, and so more flexibility, having helicopters traveling all around the world. It was judged to be easier for us to be an opportunity to, in case of need, going somewhere locally for maintenance.
Okay, and you're now working in both companies?
Yeah, I'm the compliance in Italy and safety manager and quality and safety manager in San Marino.
Very nice. How you like your job so far?
I like it, otherwise I would.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I like it. It's challenging, especially with the activity we had in San Marino, with all the vessels traveling all around the world. So the place is not that one 2 hours later. So then people coming from all different parts of the world. We have the US pilots, Germans, South Africans. So it was an engineers coming from other parts of the world, plus the interface with the vessel. The authority, they don't have local authority, so they rely on people which is based all around the world. So you have to face cultural differences every time that you talk to someone, and I really enjoyed it. I found very, very interesting people, very professional people. I have to say, very professional people. So I'm lucky of what I have done. And what I'm doing.
Very nice, very nice. Well done for that. And yeah, maybe the last question, just for the, like looking at the future. Like of course, also in our case, it's more interesting the emerging technologies and how you see safety evolving in the next couple of years, considering of those new technologies that are coming up.
New technology is something that is difficult to understand to me. I like the flexibility of the young guys. Sometimes it's difficult to me to deal with the telephone, but doesn't matter. But I can see the potential. I have to be honest, I've tried to ask and to do something with the artificial intelligence, but I could not get the result that I wanted. Probably my approach is not the right one, it's not the correct one. But I want to explore what artificial intelligence needs to me, to my job, to my environment, to my responsibilities, and I want to understand how to use it. Because new technology in general shall be intended as an help to the people, not a replacement to people. In fact, all the industrial revolution and the new technology that we had, they have improved, especially the working conditions of people. Well, I don't have a bad working condition, of course, but compared to what I'm doing, I think it will improve the way myself and my colleagues will manage compliance and safety. Leaving to the technology something repetitive task, analysis, something brief, taking notes, saving time to the most important stuff.
And just maybe, one of the last questions, like how you compare them to your time when you were growing up and you were learning, when there was no technology back then, like
well, I remember the due list for the helicopter was done on a paper, on a piece of paper, on a table, with a pencil, and with an eraser you can cancel everything and do it again. Now we have in the companies we are using the iPad with the HDL, electronic HDL. So it's an input by the pilot. Once the flight is terminated, everything goes directly to the CAMOS software for the next use and for the management of the maintenance of the next use. ICARUS, how can you imagine ICARUS? Before using ICARUS, I was using Excel. So now ICARUS is a very impressive tool, and many other systems which are equivalent. So I remember the fax, I remember the telex. When I started working, the companies that were using telex to transmit, to ask permission and so on. Then the fax came. The fax, the paper is finished, terminated, the chemical paper, everything was disappearing in 1 week. Now we have emails, we have internet, we have...
But you have seen it all.
I've seen it all,
You've seen the progress.
I haven't seen the pigeons, the flying pigeons.
You have still time. But tell me, let's just to know you personally. So apart from aviation, what are your hobbies and what do you actually do in your free time?
On the free time, when I have some, I like to walk. Well, luckily I live in a place, I'm not living in the mountain, but I am surrounded by mountains. So it's not crowded, so I like to walk, taking pictures, while doing, nothing special. Nothing specially. When I was young, I was going for skiing, cross country, not alpine skiing. But now I'm not doing it anymore. I've done a bit of sailing in the lake. Very nice. Not anymore due to back problems. So absolutely living with the family. So taking care of the family for what I can.
And the last question: Croatian or Italian coast?
Well, I grew up since I was 3 years old, going to Rimini for my holiday. So it's my imprinting. And as you remember, even 2 years ago, I have not the possibility to visit Croatia. So I missed the opportunity 2 years ago. I'm missing it this time as well. But I can appreciate the place. It's I can feel it's a nice place. It's worth visiting for sure. I remain Italian, but this place is worth visiting.
Grazie mille.
Trust on me.
Thank you very much for your time, and it was a pleasure to talk to you.
You're welcome.
Yes.